Hello and good morning everyone for joining in for the free webinar with Miss Quadri Sana. I would like to welcome you all for joining for the for joining the webinar on action and international mindedness. So I am Miss Quadri Sana from Wockhardt Global School. I am a homeroom facilitator in Wockhardt Global School for PYP2. So let's start with our webinar. So in today's webinar, you are going to see the topics which will be discussed is action, taking action, what is supporting action, and connecting action and learner profile. So as a PYP teacher or as a IB educators, IB parents, we all are aware of what action means in IB, the importance of taking action and student agency. So we are going to discuss more on what is action and how action and learner profile can be connected and how as a parent or as a teachers we can support our students, our children for taking action. So let me start with what is action. So action is ideally the voice of a children or student uh, of their learning, and it's the finest of student agency. So when the IB comes in our mind, uh, similarly, simultaneously, action also comes. And when action comes, that action cycles reflects in our mind, that is choose, act, and reflect. So here action promotes a connecting to learning, uh, and it's a transferable process that surprises needs to be developed over time. So as a IB teacher or as a IB parent, we all know how the action is core of student agency and how it's the integral part of a primary years program, that is PYP. So it's a learning process and the outcomes of international mindedness through through taking individual and collective actions, students come to an understanding and responsibility associated with being internationally mindedness. So this is how being an IB teachers or being an IB parent, we need to promote action as well as an international mindedness in our kids. And uh, also we need to appreciate the benefits of working with our students in terms of taking action. So I would like to share with you all that students taking action is a response to their inquiries, right? So when they are taking action or when they are doing something as a parent or teachers, we need to be very observant in their day-to-day activities. So what action is in PYP? So action is a very authentic and meaningful process. I would use the word in PYP. If a child is taking authentic action, meaningful action, mindful action, responsible, or it could be a responsive action. So if he or she is reflecting any of these things in herself or himself, then that is an action. So what types of action or what all things you can see or it could be an action? Let's see. So action could be a change in attitude. So if you have observed your kids and if you are observing a good changes or uh, any kind of changes in their behaviors. Okay, so that will be count as an action. Okay, and then there will be an then there is an action of consideration or a plan for action in the future, that demonstration of responsibility or of respect or self, others, and the environment. So nowadays you can see that students are more coming to spread awareness. The youth is going more in spreading awareness and taking initiatives in stopping global warming, I would say, because my kids are more keen towards saving Earth. So that is also an action for us. A commitment of leading or participating is also an action. So if you see your child is taking action or taking initiative of leading something or leading a group, or if he's just leading a party also in your home, so that could be an action for us. Then an engagement in school decision making, expression of support in community, or making decisions from local to global, from very small to taking a decision in very big level, that is also an action. Then when action comes in our mind, so there are five stages which will be seen in our students. That could be a action in participation, where students or parents or teachers are contributing as an individual or in a group, comes in action. Then, when we say choose, act, and reflect, so students need to be very mindful when they are choosing any task for doing. Then they think on it and then they try to do something, then they try to act on it. That will work as act. And then, after taking an action, again we need to reflect back that whether this decision was right or wrong. Am I doing correct or am I going right? So there comes a reflection part, which we all, I'm sure we all do in our life when we when we take some actions or any action. Then comes in advocacy. Advocacy comes for action to support social and environmental political issues, where any type of issues are going on, that will come under the advocacy part. Then there comes our social justice, which is in relation to rights, equality, equity, and well being of anyone. Then the fourth one will be a social entrepreneurship, which innovates resourceful and sustainable social changes, which nowadays we are going towards 3 R's, which is reuse, recycle, and reproduce. So these are basically the is developing more in our students. So that is also an action because they are being mindful of whatever act they are doing. Then the lifestyle choice. If you are observing a basic changes like a sleeping change or a behavioral change in your students or in your kids, then that is also an action. Then I have a few examples of action with an evidence. So when action is seen in terms of participation, it can be being actively involved in the learning community and showing commitment to contribution as an individual and as a member of group. So for that, what evidences as a teacher or as a parent we can produce, that is making appropriate choices and taking responsibilities for personal learning. So when you see that your child is taking action, start collecting evidences. I would appreciate you all if you will start collecting evidence of your child's action, of your own actions, then working collaboratively with teachers or with peers and planning to do something for a better life or for a better decision, that is also an evidence. Then contributing to discussion and learning experiences is also one type of evidence which we can produce for participation in action. Then comes in advocacy. Advocacy is more about taking action as an individually or collectively for public support or for a positive social and environmental or political changes. So for that, We can produce examples like supporting peers in the learning community, or if you can see anyone who is taking stand for somebody, so you also go and take stand with them. That will be also count as a advocacy. Then what is action in social justice? So when taking action for positive change, um, in relation to human rights, equality, rights, equity, that comes under social justice. And for that, we can produce evidences like exploring issues of fairness, challenging assumptions of generalizations, being aware of and inquiring further into, and volunteering in response to community needs. So when there's a talk on community needs or justice or equality, there comes our social justice action. Then the fifth one we have, that is social entrepreneurship. Supporting positive social change through responding to the needs of local, national, and global communities. So, here in support of no local or national needs, like NGOs, if you are starting NGOs in support of poor people or needy kids, then that will come as a social entrepreneurship also. And for that, we can uh, produce our actions or our planning. We need to start with the designing, then planning, then developing of models, then how you are going to start entrepreneurship, then what all things you are going to need. So for that, we need a proper planning and designing in our hand. And of course, and initiating and maintaining a project with a positive impact. Then the last one which we have, that is action as a lifestyle choice. So this, I think we all can observe in all of us. If we are taking a new year resolution, that could be also an action in our lives. So making positive lifestyle changes in response to learning is an action. So for that, we can produce examples, or we can produce an evidences like consideration of action that factors on personal changes or social changes or physical changes, and taking responsibility for interactions and relationship with others. Then there comes a supporting action, that how as a parent or as a teacher we are supporting our kids when they are taking action, how much support we as a teachers or parents are giving them for developing them. So teachers and other members of learning community, of course, in learning community, students, parents, leaderships, everyone comes. So this is for all of us, that how as a leadership team or learning community, we are supporting our kids, which is very important, I must say, to develop our kids. So acknowledging the various forms of action that your kids are taking, so, whatever small action you see in them, start appreciating them, start acknowledging them. If we will ignore their appreciation or acknowledging them, then they will think that, okay, whatever action I am taking, whatever learning I am taking, that was not quite helpful. So, maybe it's good or bad, they will start taking it leniently. So as a parents or as a teachers, it's a essential responsibility for appreciating our kids on their each and every action. Helping students to connect with their actions in personal or in live way. If they are coming in sharing that mama or ma'am, I have done so and so things in so and so field, so start appreciating them. If it is a live, you are watching them, then okay, my kid is taking so and so action. Please go and support them, correct them, guide them. Then engaging students in a dialogue around what action is. So when you are having a coffee time or a dinner time, you can start talking to your kids. You can ask them that what is going in their life. Ask them to share as much as they can with you, so that you can guide them equally, that what they are doing is a right path or not. Then encouraging students to consider the appropriateness and impact of their actions, and guiding students to reflect on their actions and adjust their course of action when necessary. I would like to know what you are doing as a parent or teacher in terms of supporting action. So you all can drop your answers in the chat box below and I will respond on it later. Then we have how we are connecting action with the learner profiles. As we all know, the learner profile is very essential element of PYP, that 12 attributes which are there. We are trying to inculcate it in our students. We are trying to build it in our students. So we also need to connect it with the action which they are taking. So here how we can connect action and learner profile together. So when they are developing an attribute of learner profile, students grow in their ability to make informed or reasoned judgments to their exercises, flexibility, perseverance, which is consistency in their confidence, and needs to bring change in the learning community and beyond, I must say. So international mindedness students demonstrate action in the following ways. That is, when students synthesize and apply their conceptual understanding of knowledge and approach to the learning, they are taking actions on the issues. So there they are reflecting the attribute of knowledgeable. So this is how we can connect the learner profile and the action which are taken by the students. Then when you see the creative changes or the critical thinking in your kids action, there they are reflecting the attribute of being thinkers. When they are being more communicative, they are able to communicate effectively, they are valuing the other's perspective, there they are reflecting the attribute of being communicator. Communication is not only that they are talking, but yes, when they are speaking, when they uh, taking actions, when whether it's a verbal action or a non-verbal action, that will be count as a communicator for them. Then when students demonstrate empathy, compassion and respect while taking an action, this will more relate to the um, action which are socialized. There they are reflecting the learner profile of being caring. And students when they are seeking well-being and self of and for others, when they are being balanced in their work life as well as in their personal life as well as in their study life, so there they are reflecting the attribute of being balanced. So like the same way we can connect all 12 attributes with many kinds of action which our kids are taking or which we as a teacher or as a parents are taking. So the students act when they are acting with an integrity and honesty, when they are being honest in their work, when they are being kind in their work. So there comes the learner profile, that is principle. There they are reflecting that how principled they are when they are performing any kind of act. So this is how we can promote the action and the international mindedness with learner profiles. So now I would like to ask you that what we as an educators do to help our students and children become even more internationally minded and how these qualities shape their lives. So I will appreciate you all if you would share some ideas with me and then I will be sharing my ideas with you all. So you can drop your answers in the chat box and I will be replying on it soon. What we are doing as an educator to help our students and children become more internationally minded and how these qualities shape their lives. So being an IB teacher or being an IB educators, this developing an international mindedness in our kids is very important. So what we are doing to develop these qualities in our kids are, there are 5 skills which I would like to share with you all also. That is know yourself, Develop empathy in your kids. Be a champion in intellectual humility. Learn language where we can promote our international mindedness by learning different languages, and do not fear conflict and learn to negotiate. So these are the simple five skills which we can develop in our kids for developing their international mindedness. So let's start with what is know yourself. So if you all know that learners aim to increase their knowledge, understanding and appreciate of different cultures. So when it comes to international mindedness, being Indian or being in any culture, we need to respect each and every culture, because in world there are so many cultures. So here we can also connect the open mindedness which we need to be. As there are many cultures in the world, one of our strategies in that case should be to increase the learner's self-awareness with increased empathy towards humanity. So here we can connect with know yourself. If we'll spread self-awareness, if we'll try to know more about ourselves, there we are developing international mindedness in our kids. We should try to develop our collaborative skills with our peers, with our friends, with our colleagues, and we should start encouraging people who comes from different backgrounds, different cultures, and deepening their knowledge and understanding of global issues through a agentic inquiry approach. So in know yourself we can explore the world with uh, beginning to ourselves. Start exploring yourself. Then I would like to share a Chinese proverb here. If you want to change your world, start changing from yourself. So this proverb comes in different ways. I have just twisted it with my understanding. So we need to start changing ourselves first. So if we want to develop our international mindedness, if we want to develop be open minded, start changing your thinking, start changing your personality. If you want to consume the world in slice that starts with what is closest to you, your own history, tradition, values, and learn to appreciate others. So we need to promote our own values and our own learnings. Then what is develop? Then what is develop empathy? Your capacity of imagination is almost unlimited. We all have the capacity of unlimited imaginations, which takes to new innovative ideas also. But that does not mean that you can embrace all the perspective. So when we develop an empathy in ourselves, we also need to develop a kind of perspectives in our minds. So being a learner, we need to listen to others. We need to see things from others' perspective as well. Then remember that being a learner, we need to develop the ability to put ourselves in others' place, in others' shoes, and the greater ability is to understand the reason behind the action of others. So when we try to understand others, when we try to think from the other's perspective, I'm sure the things will be easier for all of us, because humans are not as good as we should be in our capacity to emphasize with the feelings. So that the one thing which we all need to develop. Then being a champion of intellectual humility. Now here being a champion means making mistake is natural, we all know, but we should not fear of making the mistakes, because if you are making mistake, that is a sign that you are learning, and nobody is perfect. So start taking initiatives, start taking making changes without thinking that whether you are being right or wrong, if as far as you know that your decision will impact on others. Then the learning language also plays very important role when it comes to international mindedness. The first thing we all need to think is when we talk and about international mindedness, we not only talk about the ingredients which where comes the different language, but it also an important ingredient that the language plays a vital role. Those who learn several languages soon realize the inseparable link between thought and languages. It's a fact of learning and others gives us a more complete vision of reality, help us think in different ways and provide solution to the same problem from different perspectives. So if we talk about the different perspective, so we also need to think about the language which we know and which others know. Because I think the language is the major key which connect all of us for developing our international mindedness. Then there comes our fifth skill, which is there you all can add many more skills, but these are the five skills which I basically face, uh, try to develop in my kids. That is, do not fear conflict and learn to negotiate. Things can be solved, things can be issued easily when you start to negotiate it in a proper way. So conflict is a part of life and accept it, but do not run from it. It's better to learn and to face head on, but we must do not do this in a way that the respect of each other is being there. As a human being, as a human relation, we should not play such games or such parties where we are trying to hurt others feelings. So when you try to negotiate, automatically your language plays a role here, and you try to be a polite person. You try to develop a perspective here from others' feelings, and this is how we can develop the negotiation of conflict, and we can settle the things on our own level. I hope these five skills will help you to develop your kids as a lifelong learners and to develop their international mindedness. And I would love to see your replies, see your suggestions that what you are doing as an educator to develop international mindedness and how does it shape their lives. So with this, I am done with my presentation. It's a small bibliography that from where I have taken my data. And for any doubts or queries or dropping your message, you can mail me or you can call me. Looking forward to see you all. Thank you everyone for joining in. See you all in next webinar.